What's up, YouTube? I'm the Calcar131, and this gel test, we're going to be trying out the Underwood 110 grain Varmageddon 300 Blackout. So I recently started working on my 300 Blackout truck gun, and it's not done yet, by the way. This is just where it's at right now. It's ugly, but I'm working on it. So because I'm planning on making this into a truck gun at some point, maybe eventually when it's finished, whenever I can afford to finish it, I decided, I need to have or figure out what a good 300 Blackout self-defense load is. Now, that's when I came across this. This is the 110 grain Varmageddon from Underwood Ammo. Now, I have a pretty good idea how this is going to go. I believe Andrew from the chopping block, or I don't know if it was that one or ARFCOM, one of the two channels, he uploaded, I believe he used this exact same load, and it did very well, spoiler alert, so I'm expecting it to do pretty well. The reason why, the 110 grain Varmageddon bullet this is loaded with, according to him, and I believe this is true, the little bit of research I've done myself, it is a 110 grain varmint bullet, but it's made to be a varmint load at 308 velocities. 308, 300 Blackout, they're both 30 caliber bullets. But because the Underwood is going, they quote 2400, we'll see what I get. Probably less than that with an 8.5-inch barrel. But with the significantly lower velocities of 300 Blackout, typically, in the test he did at least, the 110 grain Varmageddon did not act like a normal varmint round and just explode and not penetrate very far. That's why I don't like varmint rounds for self-defense. But given that this one is severely underpowered, we're going to see how this does. I'm going to be 5 yards away, 2 blocks of clear ballistics gel, 10%. Chronograph is set up again, so we'll see what we get. They quote 2400. We'll see what it actually is. Once again, 110 grain Varmageddon, 8.5-inch barrel. See how it does. 2167 for velocity. All right, so yep. I was afraid that happened. I jumped out of the block. Gosh darn it. So, there's not a whole lot of point because it jumped out, but it jumped out at the 10.5-inch mark, but I definitely see fragmentation. Very good fragmentation, it looks like. I'll get you guys a better shot of this in a second, but I have to take another shot. Hopefully you can kind of see right there where it entered. Like I said, huge amount of tissue damage here. Lots of little fragments breaking off. And it skated up here. Jumped out of the top. All right, so I flipped the blocks around because the other one has a couple, I've done a couple rifle tests in it. A lot of tissue damage, quote unquote, in that block, and it's kind of hard to tell. So I flipped it around. Once again, we're trying 110 grain Varmageddon. $21.44 for velocity. All right, looks like we got to keep staying the block. So, I really can't see it very well from this side, but it's like 10 3/4 inches penetration. So that right there is an issue. The standard I go for in all of my gel tests, yes, even rifle tests, is like 12 to 18 inches. If you want to know why, watch this video up here. I'm not going to get into a big deal explaining why I use it for rifle tests, but it's under the standard I look for. So it didn't penetrate quite far enough. Turn it around so I can actually see what I'm doing here. There is, once again, though, very nice fragmentation coming off of this bullet. Now, the temporary cavitation damage, as it's seen in the gel, which is different than how it is in a human body, but only about half an inch of neck before it starts to break up. Very nice. And it goes from about, like I said, about half an inch, up until 8.5. And that last tiny little, like 2 inches roughly, there's like no real damage there. It looks like it's just the bullet track. But for the rest of it, pretty nice. I'll get you a, once again, better shot here in a second. But there's some pretty nice tissue damage, quote unquote, as well as is represented in ballistic gel. So half an inch to about 8.5, about 8 inches by 1.25 at its widest point. Entrance there, not very much of a neck, but once again, lots of little fragmentation. Significantly entered right there. Can't really see, it's kind of blurry right there, but lots of pretty wide, pretty good tissue disruption right there. Lots of tiny little fragments. Those fragments are going to help transform a temporary cavity, which by virtue of what it's called temporary, those are going to help transform a temporary cavity into a permanent cavity and cause damage. And there is the bullet, again stopped at 10.5, something like that, inches. All right, here's the bullet that I pulled out. Really nice and flattened out because, again, it is a VMAX varmint bullet. Not VMAX, Varmageddon. But it's made to just explode at 308 velocities. So at 300 blackout velocities, it kind of mushrooms out, gets some fragments flaking off. I measured it, it's about 0.67 roughly inches. However, as I think you should have seen in the gel test, or when I did a close-up of it, it's not like it penetrated directly like this all the way through the gel. It was kind of canted sideways. So it's not like you had a 67 caliber hole all the way through him. Kind of tumbled, and I think it was something like slanted like that. So the Underwood 110 grain Varmageddon, how'd it do, in my opinion? It did okay, but it didn't meet the standards I'm looking for. So once again, I look for between 12 and 18 inches of penetration in ballistics gel. Even for rifles, yes, I like to have a bullet that will penetrate deep enough to hit vital organs in case, absolute worst case scenario, nothing else works. I'd like to have a bullet that will get deep enough to destroy his heart and cause very rapid incapacitation from blood loss. So this bullet did not quite do it. It got to like 10.5, I believe, 10.75, something like that. Just a little bit under that standard I'm looking for. Now, would it leave a really nasty wound from all those little fragments flying off? Yeah, absolutely. Would it get the job done? In a lot of cases, maybe? Probably. So did it do badly? I don't know if I'd say it did badly. It just wasn't quite good enough for the standards I am looking for. So if you're looking for a 300 blackout load that, if for whatever reason, I disagree with this, but if you are just extremely worried about over penetration, this could be a load you could consider, I suppose. Am I going to use it? No. So if you enjoyed the video, you found it entertaining or informative, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of the Underwood 110 grain Varmageddon. Did you like it? Do you agree with me and you don't like it? If you're butthurt and you want to bitch at me because of what I said, tell me also in the comments, because all the comments help my interactions. I'm the Calcar 131, signing off.